Hey, welcome to Denmark. We are continuing our series on the Danish Gambit, and I'm going to do a quick review of what we looked at yesterday, and then we're going to continue along the same kind of line. So what we're doing here is we're going to build up a complete Danish Gambit repertoire. Okay, so let's start just by reviewing the position. Okay, so the full Danish, this is what we're looking at when they accept all the pawns, right? So you offer a pawn on d4, they take. You offer another pawn on c3, they take. You ignore Eddie, and you throw out your bishop. Eddie takes again, because, you know, he's a sacrificial pawn now, but now you capture with the bishop, and we find ourselves in this position. Now, d6 is the move that we looked at yesterday, right? And I said that previously I've always just thrown out this queen move because it's all I knew. But what we've then been looking at is actually knight to f3 as the continuation, okay? Now, yesterday we saw this idea with bishop g4, okay? And there is the trap where you can capture with the bishop right here, okay, and king takes and knight takes, and the king now has to move, and you're going to win the bishop back. Black has lost castling rights, etc., etc., and so it's not going to be great for black. But now let's just rewind a little bit, because if you look here on this is the Lee Chess Explorer, and I'll show you the settings. 1600, 1800, 2000 in Blitz and Rapid. Okay, so this is going to be, if you're an improving player, what you're likely to face. And now, if you're on chess.com, you should take about 25% off these numbers. For some reason, Lee Chess ratings are about a quarter or so higher than chess.com. For example, I'm 1820 or something on Lee Chess and 1450 on chess.com. Anyway, so you can see that bishop g4 is actually the fourth most common response here, but there are three others, which we will look at. Okay, so, and they're all decent for white. I mean, bishop g4 is a big mistake, and white wins 2/3 of those games from that position. All right, but let's go through these other ones in order. Okay, so that's bishop g4. Now, the first one is knight e6, sorry, bishop e6. Now here, you simply capture the bishop, right? Black will recapture, moving Freddy, so there ain't no Freddy no more, right? And then we continue, and this is one of those cases where you do play queen b3, okay? So queen b3, we're now attacking this pawn. By the way, I will post the PGN for this in the description of the video, okay? So we're now attacking the undefended pawn on e6. Now, the most common move by far from black is to defend with the queen to c8. Obviously, the queen could move here or here, but there must be a jolly good reason why she doesn't want to go to there. So queen, hang on, where is this? Queen d7 is kind of okay. Oh, but then, okay, yeah. Could we take on b7 then? Okay, so queen to c8 now defends the b7 pawn and defends the e6 pawn, right? From here, now, we pile on the pressure with knight to g5, okay? And this is very much in the spirit of the Danish, right? We just going balls out to pressure our opponent, just not let them develop. And look at this, we're on move 9 of the game. Black's development score is zilch, right? 0. Okay, and now there's two attackers on this pawn here, and how can black defend the pawn? The knights can't help, bishop can't help, there's no light squared bishop. The only way to defend the pawn again is king e7, right? And now there's actually a couple of approaches to this. If you just castle now, that's absolutely fine. You'll have a very solid game. Black's lost castling rights. has 0 development, and you can be castled with a development score of 5. That's 3 developed pieces and castling, which is worth 2. And, you know, obviously black's king can't move, he's got no development at all. You will very, very likely go on and win. And according to this, white goes on to win 73% of the time if you go ahead and castle. But if you fancy spicing things up even more, you can play knight takes e6 as well. And then when the queen recaptures, you can capture on b7. And in fact, I don't think there's any way for black to defend the rook here. Okay, so you're absolutely fine if you see this move with bishop to e6. You just go ahead and take, and do definitely recommend, if you're on Chessable, you know, create these, you know, work them out yourself on the board, create your own little study on Chessable as well. Okay, so that's bishop e6. Now if we go back, the next most common move is knight to f6. So we'll go through that one. Knight to f6. Okay, looks fairly normal. Now, again, castling here is actually the most common response by white, and it's very solid. And white's got 56% hit. But there are a couple of other options. Again, actually queen b3 does very well here with 67%. But you've also got this move e5. Right? Anytime this knight comes out, you've got this very kind of isolated e-pawn. Go ahead and hit the knight, right? I like this, okay? Because then de5, and what is the next move? Pause if you need, right? We've seen it before. It's a family favorite, right? We don't trade queens. Bishop takes f7 check, and here again, the king can't really take the bishop. The king takes the bishop, the queen is lost, and with it the game, right? So the king has to move to e7, and I just really like this direction, right? We continue, bishop to a3 check, right? Still, if the king captures the bishop, the queen falls, right? But look, the king can't go there or there, there, or there, or there. There's only one legal move, really, other than to interpose the queen, right? So very likely king's going to take there, you get the queen. Now, interestingly, if we look on Lichess here, right, after queen takes d8, white wins 71% of the time. However, I think that's because a lot of people go ahead and resign. Right? Now, there's something that you need to know if you're going to play the Danish. Okay? Or if you're going to play the Danish at the intermediate to advanced level, right? Which is that there is a refutation. Okay? Well, in fact, there's a few, and we'll move on to these later on in the series. But black has a perfectly decent move at this point. Right? Black is not actually lost. And you can see that when bishop to b4 check is played, look at this, right? And the key is that this knight has come out, right? Because the knight's come out to f6, this rook is now free on the back rank, okay? So we throw in a check, and we have a discovered attack on Her Majesty. So there's a couple of moves here. The best for white is actually queen back to d2 to block. Bishop will take the queen, and then we recapture with the knight. And here from this point, white wins 48% of the time. So, you know, we're playing chess. We've got 3 pieces developed. Black has only 1. The king's already moved, so this rook's going to take time to get into the game. And I believe we can still go ahead and castle. Okay, so you should kind of be all right there. Okay, but this is the key. Anytime that knight comes out, it changes things a little bit, right? If the bishop is able to come to there with check, okay? And we'll look at that. So in fact, let's right now, so let's go back through here. I'll show you this standard refutation line, okay, from the full Danish, and it's called the Schlechter defense. And it's with d5, right? We've been looking at d6 previously. With d5 here, right? And you go ahead and take the pawn as white. Now, if black plays anything other than knight f6, it's very bad, because you've got this, I believe, and now you take, and again we've got this problem. You know, king's in check, the king takes the bishop, the queen falls. Okay, so again the king comes here, and we can continue like before. Now, so if they do anything other than that, right? But this is the refutation. Okay, so knight takes there, white captures with check, right? King takes, queens are traded, and this again. So it's very much, you know, it was an identical kind of situation that we just saw before. Okay, so let's now rewind to d6, which is the move that we're looking at today. So we play knight f3, exactly, yeah. So we've looked at bishop to e6 is the most common, we just take the bishop. We've looked at knight to f6, and with that we can go ahead and do the trade. And then knight to c6 is the last variation to look at. And here we do play, I mean, castling is good. Queen to b3 is even better in this instance, because we are now, we've got this barrage with queen and bishop against f7, right? And the knight hasn't come out. Okay, so very often you'll see the queen blocking there. The queen can also go to d7 as well, right? And then we simply castle, and we're actually in an extremely strong position here. We've got 1, 2, 3 pieces, 4 pieces out on the board. We're still looking at Freddy. This knight may come in at some point, try and distract the queen. We're already castled. It's just a super strong situation. If you see this move, knight to a5, this is very thematic. You'll see this a lot in the Danish. Black gets the willies about this barrage here. So thinks, if I can pivot my knight round to a5, I've got a fork on the bishop and the queen, so happy days. However, what black has not factored in is you have a nice move, queen a5 check, forking the king and the knight, and basically forces the knight to go back to c6, and then you just continue with knight c3, and I think any of us would take white in this situation. In fact, white wins almost 3/4 of the time, according to the chess database. So that's it then, guys. There's a few more lines in that for d6, right? So we'll come back to here, and that's pretty much d6 now covered. Now d6 is only the third most common response. Okay, in the next videos we're going to look at knight to f6, and the most common, which is the the Copenhagen defense. The most common is bishop to b4 check, and we've got fun and games to be had in all of those. So yeah, I'll post the PGN. Hope that's been useful for you. Let's continue and this journey through Denmark and the very exciting Danish Gambit. And quite honestly, you know, this will keep you going all the way through to 2000, I'm absolutely sure. It's not really played by title players anymore, because there are, you know, like we say, a couple of refutations, but at this level you will have an awful lot of fun with this opening. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.